Hello, my name is Orion. I did the project Fencing versus Beat Saber, where I compare the fitness benefits of foil fencing to Beat Saber and virtual reality fitness. My hypothesis for my abstract is foil, such as Olympic foil fencing, will have a much higher average heart rate than that of Beat Saber and virtual reality fitness, as it has a much greater amount of lower body motion. Now, my question is, how does exercise from fencing and Beat Saber and virtual reality fitness compare to each other, and does one have a distinct advantage? And I hypothesized that fencing would have a higher average heart rate, as there's, as I mentioned, much greater amount of lower body movement, where you're moving the weight of your entire body down the fencing strip, which is about 14 meters long. Whereas with virtual reality fitness, most of it you're usually stationary, staying one point, and there's a lot of upper body movement, which is still good fitness, but there's a lot less weight being moved around. Now, with virtual reality fitness, the main fitness game that I used was Beat Saber. And how Beat Saber works, you stand in a specific spot and there are blocks that are coming at you and you need to hit them, and that's how you make it through each map. And there's also wall obstacles such as walls and bombs that you need to avoid. Now, it is probably important to mention that with Beat Saber, there is a kind of, with Beat Saber, the amount of exercise you get from it is very relative to the amount of experience and skill that you have in it. So the more experience and skill you have, the greater an exercise you will get. So as I'm using somebody else, I'm using a friend to get some more data, they have not had the same amount of experience that I have had. So I have a stand-in called Powerbeats VR that it's more of a boxing style VR game, but it still has similar, as I found out, it has very similar data to Beat Saber. Now, with foil fencing, as I said before, there's a lot more lower body movement. Now, as you're still moving your hand, you do need to move it quite quickly, but it is a lot less than you are in Beat Saber. And the large majority of your movement, as I said, lower body. And you're going along the fencing strip and you're going back and forth. And there's a great deal of movement, and a lot of times it will become very quick because you're trying to react to the other person. For data collection, I used Polar brand fitness watches and recorded them on a Polar Flow app and account so I could properly record the data and collect it, as well as the data from my friend who was helping me with the data. Here is the data from the virtual reality fitness stuff, and then the fencing stuff. The virtual reality fitness stuff, I will mention, has both Beat Saber and Powerbeats VR, as I found that the data was similar enough that I could put them in the same group without messing with the outcome too much. Analyzing my data, I found that with foil fencing, it was extremely sporadic with the average heart rate, Whereas with Beat Saber and virtual reality fitness in general, it was a much more constant heart rate. And with the standard deviation, I also found that with virtual reality, the standard deviation, though it was relatively high, it was still rather constant. It was around 14. With fencing, even the standard deviation was kind of all over the place. So while fencing could have great spikes of heart rate, it also was not very consistent. In conclusion, I was wrong in my hypothesis as I misjudged the amount of movement that I was doing in the virtual reality fitness games. There was a great deal more movement that I was doing with my upper body than I suppose realized. And as for fencing, the amount of movement that I was doing, I suppose I underestimated as well. I was moving a lot more, but I'd also slowed down a lot more, and there'd be a lot more stops. And if you wish to see either fencing, Beat Saber, or Power Beats VR, any examples of using or seeing that, I have videos attached to my project here with my project. So either with this video or with the rest of my project, you can go and see that. Now, as for what I've done differently, I would have very much liked to have more people from my fencing practice to get data from, and that way I could get a much bigger population, and it would be a much more diverse population. As well as I would really have liked to be more skilled at fencing and just more capable of it. That way, any difference that would have come from either having more or less skill or experience would have been minimized, as well as testing some more virtual reality games. All right. Bye.